I would say our employees for sure. People say that your customers are most important. You know, they're all stakeholders in the success of the organization, but we have such a trusted relationship with our leaders and our team members. They are irreplaceable. There's no question about it. And customers may come and go. We're fortunate, knock on wood, we have not lost a customer that I can remember. But it would be easier for us to replace a customer than it would be to replace some of our team members, and that almost is all of them. We have such a strong team. It's hard to find the talent that we do.
Welcome to Growth Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow? Encouraging people to think like entrepreneurs? Does that scare you as a leader? When you have a group of people inside your organization that think like entrepreneurs, you've got something really special. It's not something to shy away from. In fact, I believe you should lean into it. I believe you should cultivate the entrepreneur spirit across the organization. I've seen this happen in my own company. I've seen it happen in my clients' companies, and I've seen it happen in many of the interviews across the Inc. 5000. When I think about growing a company, I want people to feel empowered, to feel a sense of ownership in what they're doing. Another way to say that is I want them to feel that entrepreneur spirit, not just at the top levels of the company, but throughout the company. My guest today is Darin Anderson. He is the chairman, CEO of Salas O'Brien. They are a company that creates engineering to make buildings really efficient. And all of the engineering work that they've done, working with some of the top tier clients, they know that having an entrepreneur spirit across the company has been critical for their own growth. Over 100 million in revenue, over 800 employees. They formalize this through an ESOP so that they can actually have financial tools, but you can actually create this entrepreneur spirit without having an ESOP or any other financial tools. I welcome you to this interview about the entrepreneur spirit. Here's Darin. Before we dive into the interview, I wanted to remind you that you can actually get a tool that I've been working with clients with for the last couple of years. I've refined this tool that's gone through several iterations. Now we have it completely automated. You can actually go online and fill out the leadership quiz. To get the leadership quiz, just go to theleadershipquiz.com. That's pretty easy, right? Theleadershipquiz.com. What you will get when you do that is you will answer a few questions. You will see where you rate based on the core principles of fast growth companies. If you're ready to grow your company or you want to see where you are, then make sure you go to theleadershipquiz.com. Inside it, you will get insight to where you are, understand where you want to improve, and you will get them mapped into the 10 areas that are most specific to fast growth companies. Again, go to theleadershipquiz.com and you can get that right now. Hi, Darin. How are you?
Hey, Gene, I'm doing great.
Well, I am excited to have you on the podcast, Growth Think Tank, where we focus on conversations with founders just like you to talk about growth and leadership and culture that make fast growth possible. You have joined us here because your company's grown so fast. Tell us a little bit about Salas O'Brien.
Yep. So Salas O'Brien is a highly technical engineering firm. We help really the largest, most sophisticated critical clients around the country build their facilities so they work reliably, they're safe and efficient, energy efficient as well. We help them make sure that they're as productive as possible. So we work with the Microsofts, the Amazons, the AT&Ts, Verizons, T-Mobiles, Facebooks, you name it. I mean, we work on over 4,500 projects a year, helping our clients ensure their facility success, their institutional clients, typically.
And Darin, your company has continued to grow fast over the years, but just the last 3 or 4, you've had a really big tear. We had talked about what really contributed to that growth. Over 100 million in 2019, continuing that growth. What do you think the most, important principle behind the way that people work together is to contribute to the growth of the company?
No, it's a great question, Gene. And, it's something I've studied and try to learn a lot from others as well. We've been blessed to have a very entrepreneurial environment. Everything we do it's all about our team members and all about our people. And so the environment that we create and how we empower them to make decisions, we operate on a very decentralized basis. So our team members have to make decisions for their clients as it relates to them on a local community basis. As we've grown over the years, if people were waiting for me to make a decision for them or for other leaders to make a decision, it would have stunted our growth. And so we always, first and foremost, try to find uh, people and leaders who have a passion for what we do, have a technical competency and excellence, and then also have that entrepreneurial mindset. And I think we can help develop and nurture that entrepreneurial mindset. Sometimes it's hard to find engineers who are entrepreneur, but we've been able to do it and to nurture that. And at the end of the day, the great thing is that people see in our organization that they can come in as an intern and lead their way as they grow and have that desire, learning skills, developing client relationships, that they can be a principal in our organization. There's no limit to what anybody can do here. And so we have the alignment of their professional growth, but the passion and seeing their projects, in their communities being realized. And so it's very rewarding for them, and they have total control over it. We try to enable. Our goal is to create more opportunities for everybody in the organization, and they're in total control of their destiny. It's exciting.
A lot of people misinterpret that term entrepreneur spirit inside the organization. What specifically does it mean to you? Because I know it doesn't mean we want to encourage them to go start their own business and leave. Although in some cases that's perfectly fine. What does it mean to you?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Is it, our clients are looking for us to help them solve problems. And sometimes they don't even see what the opportunities are. So I want our team members to own the client's issues and concerns, asking the right questions and going out and finding ways to solve their problems. And that it's on them to find resources within our national team of people who can help problem solve. But they're responsible for making that happen, putting the proposal together, pricing it properly, and then delivering it at the end of the day. Obviously, they're not on an island. We have resources and support, but they know that they're there to own that relationship, there to go make it happen, and that there's no excuse to not do it. That we want to reward them, we want to support them, but not taking action is not okay.
This is music to my ears, and I think a lot of people tuning in here is, I've always said this, and maybe you'll relate to it. It's not about taking responsibility for the work. You want to go past responsibility to take ownership. When you see people taking ownership, what are some of the things you see around the office or in a virtual world like we are today? What do you see, and or feedback you get from clients?
No, I think that's one of the differentiators for Salas O'Brien and why we've accelerated from in success is that we're surrounding people who are feel confident making that decision. They oftentimes in other organizations, people go out and make a decision, or maybe they make a wrong decision at some point in time. They get whacked down, right? They get hit by a 2x4, and they're like, "Wow, that was a negative experience. I didn't learn anything from that, and I certainly don't want to do that again. I don't want to put myself at risk because I'll look stupid, or I will be shamed in some way and told that I made the wrong decision." I think we have the opposite view, is that we want to encourage people to do that and do it in a safe environment. If you've made a mistake, okay, we're going to recover from that. Nobody is ever put in a place where they're going to make a decision that's going to jeopardize the client or themselves. And they know that they have resources and people to go to that are encouraging and they're going to support them. Our reward system is also incentivized by lifting people up around them. Our financial rewards are aligned by how the team does, not how the individual performs. So when you're rewarded by how teams do, and your bonuses are tied to how the whole team does, that if the whole team doesn't get a reward and make a certain milestone, then nobody gets anything. So there's total support from a team standpoint, and that everybody should have their eyes open about how can we bring new opportunities, solve client relationships. I may not know the answer, but I'm going to find somebody who can. And so that hunger, that enthusiasm, that we're all in this together. I may not know what to do, but I've been trained to know, yeah, this is a problem. I can help this client. Let's work on this together and go solve it. And that's what I love seeing is that we have such collaboration across all of our teams around the country, but they make decisions on a local basis. And it's exciting. Every week we put out what we call a wins of the week, and it shows how our teams have reached out to others for success of winning projects that they wouldn't have won individually before without having the shared knowledge and experience that they can bring as a positive attribute to our clients. So it's cool. It's really exciting to see. And when in our business, you get to see these projects because they're in your community, when they're building buildings or facilities that are hospitals that are saving patients' lives, like we are. We just helped a lot of open new healthcare facilities and hospitals that had been shut down for this COVID requirement. So it's exciting for our team members to be able to know that they can make a big difference in our communities, and it's so rewarding.
Darrin, I want to kind of put a spotlight on something you said about value. I've always thought of entrepreneurs are able to increase the value of resources. We take ideas or services and we create products with it, or we serve clients in a new way. And that's really what we want our employees to do, is to see opportunity and increase the value to the client, to the organization. When you thought about this in the beginning, or when it first really started saying this is going to be a cornerstone of our business, what was the first step do you remember taking to encourage that entrepreneur spirit?
Yeah. So earlier on, when we were a much smaller organization, we had the opportunity to work for some national firms that had facilities around the country. And we were one of maybe 10 firms, 20 firms that they were working with. And we heard their pain that, they weren't getting consistent service. They didn't like the people they were working with. They didn't have trust or confidence with them. Their technical capabilities weren't the same. So they said, gosh, can you go to another location and help us? And I couldn't quite get people to be moving. They were happy in the same, they just young kids, and they just weren't ready to move, but they wanted to service as clients. So we found like-minded firms who were of similar size, and we were able to fulfill those clients' needs by sharing our knowledge and sharing our expertise together to better serve our clients. And so we have taken that approach, building a national network of what we call local everywhere, but with like-minded skill sets and having these technical resources that now we can draw on the greatest minds across the country for specific project experience, but to be responding with local knowledge and codes in people in the communities that they're serving. And it's really been effective for our clients because they have one contract now. They don't have to administer 30 different contracts with all these firms delivering differently. And now we can do it more cost effectively for our clients as well. We're also fortunate that our relationships are so strong. We win over 80% of the proposals that we put out to our clients. So we're now trying to provide additional services to those clients because they know and trust us. And when we say we can do something, when we say we can add additional service capability that they are already contracting out, again, that they may not trust as much or have 30 different contractors or consulting engineering firms that they need to work with, that they trust us, and it makes it easier for them. And that's what we've executed on.
Darrin, I'm kind of curious on your company core values. Is that something you guys put a lot of focus on?
We do. From day one, we've been very, very clear and very transparent. We're a very open book organization. In fact, later on today, I've got an all hands meeting with all my 825 team members across the country. We discuss things very openly, very candidly, and they know what to expect. We are, as you said, anything but complacent. I expect that everybody is always going to do the right thing for our clients and treat each other with the highest regard and respect. But yeah, we have a very clear outline of our values and what we expect from one another for leadership, for results, and also for relationships and how we expect to treat one another, and provide for the continuity of the firm. So it's very clear when people come into our organization, they know what they should expect from us, but also what we're going to expect from them. And if nobody ever hesitates to ask a question, how does this fit in with these values? But we live it every day, and I expect everybody to challenge us if we don't.
One more second here. Darin just mentioned transparency, the importance of that inside our organization. So let me ask you a question. How transparent are you? Where do you draw the line? Are you willing to open up the financials to your employees? What about strategies, how you're moving forward? Do they feel included to what you're doing? Are you afraid and holding back information? Do you have certain meetings where only the insiders know? Maybe it's the executive leadership team. Well, whatever level of transparency you have, I want you to question that for a second. Why is it that way? Are you willing to grow beyond that? Because I will tell you, across the hundreds of interviews, fast growth companies are willing to be 100% transparent. Not all of them, but many of them. And so you have to really look at that and challenge your own thinking, your mindset. Back to the interview. And I see that across many of the Inc. companies that are growing fast is that attention to values and living it every day. I want to ask you what I would call an impossible question. The reason it's impossible is because it assumes that things are different than the reality. And I don't know if that makes sense yet, but let me just ask the question to you, Darin. I ask leaders across the country one big question, and this is it. As a leader, what's more important, your customers or your employees?
It's a great question. I would say our employees for sure. People say that your customers are most important. You know, they're all stakeholders in the success of the organization, but we have such a trusted relationship with our leaders and our team members. They are irreplaceable. There's no question about it. And customers may come and go. We're fortunate, knock on wood, we have not lost a customer that I can remember. But it would be easier for us to replace a customer than it would be to replace some of our team members. And that almost is all of them. We have such a strong team. It's hard to find the talent that we do. We have such dedication. Our average tenure of our team members is over 12 years from what we've grown and organizations that have merged in with. We have so many that are over 20 years as well. Replacing that knowledge, replacing that trust and confidence you have in one another in the decision making, particularly as a decentralized organization, it's you can't replace it. I go to bed every night knowing that my leaders, my top 60, 70, even 80 leaders, I don't worry about whether they're going to be in the organization the next day, whether they're going to make the right decision, how they're going to treat the organization, how they're going to treat the clients, how they think about the team members. I don't worry about it at all. And to me, that's gold. Everything that we do is all about a relationship. I tell everybody that, look, we're in a marriage. We are partners together in this, and it is your organization, because it is. We're an employee-owned organization, and it's just rewarding to go through that journey, to have these people with you, and that we're all in it together. We're sharing the rewards, the challenges, as well as the opportunities, and knowing that you got each other's backs is the greatest thing in the world.
I did see on your website about being formerly an ESOP, and did I read that right, that it was a few years ago that you made the decision to move that direction?
Yeah, gosh, it's actually tearing me up a little bit. I'm a little emotional about it. It's a little weird. Not weird. It just speaks very much of how much I feel about my team members and how proud I am of them and what we've done. So we, from the beginning, when Carl and Chuck and I and Paul became partners earlier on, we then started adding more owners to the organization. And I'm a big believer of those who are really driving the organization's growth. I want to participate in the development of the organization and the financial rewards that go with it as well, beyond just bonus structure. That's just a firm tenet for me. As we grew through 2016, we had 45 employee owners. That happened through developing team members internally, from interns to principals and owners in the organization. And then we also had done some mergers with organizations as part of our growth. That we purchased their organization, but they continue to stay on as principals in our organization and have equity in the company as well. So we've been very fortunate that over the mergers that we've done over the years, we look at those partnerships, that every one of those merger partners is still with us from the beginning all the way through today. We've only had 3 of those, we'll call them former shareholders that have retired. The rest are still very much engaged in the organization, and it just goes to, what they believe in, what our vision is as an organization, the character, the values that we have, and how selective we are with our partners.
I love
So
to
today,
ask you one more final question here, Darrin, is, sometimes growth is counterintuitive. And I think one example of that is putting employees first. You may not be familiar with my research, but I've asked that question hundreds of times, close to 500 now, and it's 94% will say it's employee first, which is counterintuitive to most things. Is there anything else that you've seen over your journey of leadership and culture that you think is counterintuitive to what people are kind of putting in books or putting in articles or anything like that you've learned firsthand?
I have to think about that one a little bit. I think, today there's so much more openness and a need for authenticity. I always share personal stories about what I'm thinking about my family, the struggles that I have, and I think so many of our leaders in larger organizations are just hide behind a shield and a veil and are just not authentic at all. And people see through that bullshit. I'm sorry to say that just they want to know that you understand where they're coming from, that you're real about it, and that if you don't have the answers, you're going to say that. And I think that's the goodwill is created that way. People appreciate it. They want honesty. They want truthfulness. There's just too much of, it's all about me or the selfishness, and they'll see through your actions very quickly. And in this day and age, people can move between jobs so easily, or they just won't be engaged. They may just be there for a job. Our people they love what they do. They're very engaged. They believe in it, and they are bought into what our mission and vision is as an organization. And you can't compromise that. If you do, you lose.
Well, I appreciate that. I really love this interview. It's really near and dear to my heart, my research. Your stories here have been excellent. I appreciate you being authentic and even getting a little teary-eyed with me, because that means a lot about you as a leader and how you're connecting and delivering value for your people. Thanks for being here on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Gene. Great time. I appreciate the time.
I just love that interview. Really appreciate, sitting down and talking to a leader that understands the need for leadership, the need for leadership development, the need for people to be developed as leaders. Those things all sound like the same, but they're really just the continuation of how do you create an organization where people are growing, thinking for themselves, empowered, transparent, humble, really are developing trust in others, servicing the client. Those things really happen when you have that entrepreneur spirit. I love interviews like this because we can go deep into why it works, some of the details of what can be done inside your own organization, your own leadership. And these kind of interviews really do fuel me up for why I'm doing what I'm doing. My name is Gene Hammett. I work with leaders in the defining moments of their own growth to help them get really clear about who they are, where they're going, and really identify what's holding them back. There's always a strong saying that I want to leave you with, but it is this: at every new level, there's a new you. In order to reach for more money or grow to the next milestone, you've got to reinvent yourself. You can't be complacent and just stay the same. You've got to continue to evolve. I work with leaders through those defining moments. Make sure you tune in to another episode here on the show, share it with a friend, and as always, lead with courage.